Hello everyone, Storm 101 here. Today we'll be talking about a couple systems over the next several days. One of them is going to be a cutoff low that'll move across parts of the south that can bring severe weather across parts of the Texarkana region tomorrow. And that severe weather risk could move into parts of Florida by Tuesday. There's another system we're keeping an eye on sometime later this week that could bring another severe weather risk for parts of the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley as well by later this week. And there's possibly another storm signal early next week that could come out of the Rockies that could bring another severe weather risk as well. Before we get started on this video, if you guys would like weather related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we'll be having more updates on these systems here as well. So definitely stay tuned for more updates as well. So we're getting started with the watch warning advisory display. So there's a couple things going on here. We do have fire weather warnings across parts of the southern plains out there. We got freeze warnings for parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. Those guys that there will likely see another very cold night later tonight as well. So if you got any vegetation out there, please protect them as well if you really want to. Scattered winter weather advisories across the north as well, and otherwise mostly quiet for the U.S. And that'll probably stay that way until tomorrow. So this is the SPC outlook for today. Maybe some thunder across parts of the Central Rockies. But on day two, which is tomorrow, we got standard slikers for northeastern Texas, northwestern Louisiana, far southwestern Arkansas, and far southeastern Oklahoma. There is a very low end tornado risk. There's also a pretty tiny 5% tornado risk out there as well. That's going to be the potential for some discrete cells out there, but they'll have a pretty short window as well before they all begin to cluster up as well. So maybe isolated tornadoes would be a possibility. Damaging winds and hail looks to be your primary threats as well with this setup. And here's day three, which is Tuesday. We've got a standard slike risk across parts of northern Florida as well. Otherwise, I think this is going to be mainly a damage wind type of event, but not very confident about the slike risk, though, for the time being. But let's talk about tomorrow's setup. We're going to check out the HER model. This is reflectivity. And check out the timing here. It's going to be capped for most of the day until thunderstorms begin to develop into later in the day. And they do pop up in a hurry as well. And there's already some little hail cores in some of these storms as well. So hail is going to be a big concern with some of these storms as well. And you can tell already they do have a short window. They're discrete for probably about an hour or two before they become big clusters here. You can see here later tonight, Monday night, you now are starting to see a cluster of thunderstorms begin to develop in eastern Texas. Some of them can still contain some hail, but the damage wind threat is probably going to be the main threat for these storms. That will move into parts of Louisiana by Tuesday morning. But what's also interesting is that you do see a low pressure system here in northeastern Texas. You can see some of that convection that kind of spins around as I kind of play this through here, which I think that's pretty cool to kind of see there. And you can see there really over the Gulf of Mexico, still some strong severe storms moving across the Gulf of Mexico. I can head towards Florida um, later Tuesday night as well, if they could stay organized. That's going to be a big question. There would still be plenty of instability, but would there be enough wind shear? That's still a big question here. But we do know, at least for Monday evening into Monday night, there will be just enough wind shear to work with out there, which we'll check out 850 millbar winds right now. You can see here, not a whole lot of wind shear, but it will be just enough to get some organized storms to go off here. You got 850 millbar winds generally 30 to 40 knots out there, maybe some isolated stronger spots. And look at this, getting deeper to Monday night. You see this pocket here of some stronger 850 millbar winds. That's part of a cluster of thunderstorms that's moving through. That could be an indication for some damaging winds at the surface. We do have to pay attention to that as well, especially when we get overnight hours, wherever those storms really get its act together. We could be talking about a squall line of some strong to severe storms that can move through parts of southeastern Texas, and that could get into parts of Louisiana by Tuesday morning as well. So we do have to pay attention to that threat as well. You can see how your upper level low is situated over here in northern Louisiana. Your strong severe storm threat does continue over the Gulf of Mexico, and that will approach Florida by later uh, Tuesday night. Going back here, if we check out instability, there will be plenty of instability, especially early on. There will be a little bit of sign in to work with, but I don't think it'll interrupt it too much. But check out these instability values, generally 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. So there's going to be there's going to be plenty of instability out there. And even to the overnight hours, out ahead some of these cluster thunderstorms, there's still plenty of instability out there, generally anywhere from 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram, just out ahead swallowing, which will help keep those storms going into the overnight hours as well. Really until by Tuesday morning as well. And you can tell here how your alpha boundary does continue over the Gulf of Mexico as well by later in the day on Tuesday. Here's your updraft helicity swaths here. And you can see here that potential for some rotating thunderstorms out there as well. You got a little cluster up in parts of southern Oklahoma. There's a few areas just east of Dallas. And you even got some in southeastern Texas as well. So that could be an indication for some rotating thunderstorms as well. Even when the thunderstorms do become a big cluster, you still got that chance for some quick spit up tornadoes along the squall line as well. So that's something else to note as well. And I think let's check out this product here real quick. So 0 to 3 kilometer CAPE. And this can help with the severe weather risk as well, especially when it comes to tornadoes as well. So we have pretty good severe weather ingredient as well. It's going to take a while to load here. Go ahead and set this up real quick. We'll check out the significant parameters after this here. And here you go. You can see here the numbers. The numbers don't seem that high, but I'll say at least 100 will be favorable for subsevere weather, or 50. That would be a pretty good number. You can see here, there's some pretty elevated numbers out there. And this could also help keep these storms going as well into the overnight hours. So you can see there, just out ahead of the line of storms, it's got some pretty elevated numbers as well. This can also help increase that quick spin up tornado potential along the squall line as well. And you can see how you get into later day on Tuesday. Here's your upper level low, and here's your possible strong severe storm threat still going on out in the Gulf of Mexico as well. Here's your significant tornado parameters here, and you can see here the numbers are not terribly high, really over a 1. Conditions are favorable for tornadoes, and over a 2, that'd be favorable for stronger tornadoes as well. And let's get a sounding out there in northeastern Texas, because that'll be the area to monitor. You can see here what's going on here. You still got that cap in place, but that will slowly erode away into the overnight hours. What's really going to lead to this hail threat is those lap rates. Strong lap rates in the upper levels here. You also got a pretty good hodograph as well. Wind direction of height here going on in the lower levels. Plenty of wind shear, and also a good amount of instability. This will be favorable for all hazards. Damage wind, hail. Some of it could be pretty large, and that possibility for some tornadoes as well. So a pretty good sounding overall as well. And you can see here how conditions become less favorable as you get deeper into the overnight hours as well. Let's go ahead and move on to Tuesday. You can see here with the NAML showing those thunderstorms by Monday night. And you can see there, the wind shear values are not going to be terribly high, especially for getting into Tuesday night. You can see here for most of the time, it's going to be generally 20 to 30 knots. At least 30 knots, they'll at least be supportive for some severe weather. But let's check out some other products here, like let's actually show the reflectivity with this. And the NAM shows a lot of showers of thunderstorm activity out there. And if that turns out to be the case, you may not see a whole much way of severe weather. It's going to keep the atmosphere a little bit more stable out there as well. That's what happened with the severe weather risk across parts of Florida, Georgia, Alabama, up to the Carolinas the other day. And I was mentioning it from the HRRR model, which it did a really good job with reflectivity. It's like if you got this cluster of thunderstorms down here, it's going to be like a block for some most favorable dew points and speed values to get so far north. Turned out to be almost a bust type event. There was still some wind damage out there, and I think there were still a couple of tornadoes, but did not really meet expectations there. That might be the best way to put it. Let's go straight to significant weather parameters, and you can see here numbers are not going to be very high with this here. You can see early on there are some pretty elevated numbers, but getting into um, Tuesday, not so much in the way of elevated numbers out there. So the conditions are not very favorable. It does become a little bit more elevated getting into Wednesday here. But overall, I think the severe weather risk for areas and parts of southern Alabama, southern Georgia, and most of Florida will probably stay on the low end side of things as well, as this upper level low does continue to move off to the east as well. It will slowly weaken over time as well. That's pretty typical for upper level lows to do. They slowly weaken over time. So what's going to happen after this upper level low? Well, not a whole lot going to be going on. I'll say for right now anyway. So getting into Thursday morning here, you do notice here comes another system here coming out of the Rockies here. You can see here how it does move off to the northeast. Here, it's got pretty good amount of snow on the backside of the low here, parts of the Midwest. We'll have to pay attention to the warm sector because 995 millibars, that could be supportive for the potential for some strong storms in the warm sector. If we check out some other models for possibly for a different outcome, the Canadian model is actually pretty similar with it as well. It's actually a little bit slower with the system as well, which is honestly not a surprise here. The GFS does have a progression bias here. You can see here the GFS model is much faster than the Canadian model, and I would expect the GFS model to at least slow down a little bit, which that can help give it more time to strengthen as well, which may bring in that potential for some more strong storms as well. So we've got to pay attention to the warm sector here. It's a little bit early to get to the Pacifics on this because there's not a very strong agreement with this just yet. And the European model is a good example. At the same time, Friday evening, you can say the European model does show a different story here. It's got 1,007 millibar low over in southwestern Kentucky. This would not be supportive for severe weather, but it was a little bit better than its previous run. So we have to pay attention to the trends, what the models show with the system here, because if it does trend towards the GFS and the KMO, hey, this could be another potential severe weather setup, and the timing on that might be Friday. So pay attention to Friday. And here's the European ensembles here. A little bit further north here, but there is a pretty good cluster of members a little bit further north. Some of them are weaker, some of them are a little bit stronger. Not a very strong agreement there from the European ensembles. But the GFS ensembles has got a better agreement with it with a mean of 1,030 millibars over southern Michigan. And that could lead that potential for some strong storms in the warm sector as well. So if an area I will have to focus on for that potential for strong storms, if the models do trend towards a stronger system, might have to be in these areas right in here. So that'd be an area to monitor here. And that's not 100% guaranteed just yet, since we do not have a strong agreement. But it is definitely something we do need to keep an eye on very closely as well. And after that system, we do get a little bit of a quieter stretch of weather, a little bit of a cool down for parts of the eastern U.S., but it won't last very long because here comes another system here into early next week here. And you can see here, right around March 22nd here, GFS Ball's been showing some type of storm system around this time period for a long time now. You can see here a lot of snow on the backside of the low over New Mexico, parts of Texas, and of course this will likely change here. But it does show a storm system at that time period either way. If you check out the Canadian model, it shows a little bit of a stronger system coming out of the Rockies. And that could have the potential for some more strong and severe storms in the warm sector as well. And also does have a decent amount of snow on the backside of the low as well. And if you were to check out the European model, and then again, the timing on this is early next week. And you can see here, European model also shows a storm system at around that time period as well. But really, these models here have a different outcome here. So we do know there is a storm signal um, sometime around March 22nd time frame. We just do not know how the low is going to play out. That's something we do not know yet. But all we do know is there is a storm signal here. And here's the European ensembles. And you can see here, pretty large spread in the model guidance. It's actually got two different lows going on here. You got one over Mexico. We got another one up across parts of the plains. And check out all those members. All of them, most of them have a 7,000 millibar low. So it does seem this is going to be a strong low coming out of Rockies. But we'll be able to maintain that strength. That'd be a big question because you do see here it does begin to slowly weaken as it continues to move off to the northeast into the mid Atlantic. Not a mid Atlantic. I meant to say Midwest. But there is some type of storm signal out there as well, shown by the European ensembles. And here's the GFS ensembles. Also got a storm signal out there as well. So we also had to watch early next week as well. And of course, some changes will be likely on the system here, but regardless, there is a storm signal early next week. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, hit the like button. If you do like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put in the comment section down below. I answer you guys questions. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.